What if you woke up one morning and the sun didn't rise? What if the air was so thick with ash and smoke that it felt like breathing in the end of the world? Let me take you back to the year 536 AD, often called the worst year to be alive in history. It all started with a mysterious fog that spread across Europe, the Middle East, and parts of Asia. This wasn't just any fog. It was thick, cold, and dark, blocking out the sun for 18 months. Day turned into a permanent twilight, and temperatures dropped suddenly. Crops failed everywhere, and people began to starve. Imagine waking up every day to a sky that never brightened, feeling the cold seep into your bones, and seeing your food supplies dwindle. This was a time before modern science, so people didn't understand what was happening. They thought the gods were angry, or that the end of the world was near. Fear spread like wildfire, and with it came desperation. With crops failing, hunger became a relentless beast. Communities turned on each other, families were torn apart, and survival became a brutal fight. As if this wasn't enough, the year 536 AD also saw the spread of plague. The Justinian plague, one of the deadliest pandemics, erupted and ravaged the population. People were dying in the streets, their bodies left to rot because there were too many to bury. The stench of death was everywhere, and no one knew who would be next. This was a world where hope seemed to have vanished. People saw their loved ones wasting away, children crying from hunger, and the world around them crumbling into chaos. The fear of the unknown made everything worse. No one knew when the sun would return, if ever, and no one knew when the plague would stop claiming lives. It was as if the world had descended into an endless night, filled with cold, hunger, and death. The despair of 536 AD is almost unimaginable today. It was a time when people felt utterly helpless, their lives dictated by forces they couldn't understand or control. They watched as everything they knew fell apart, with no promise of a brighter future. The terror of living in such a dark and desperate time is a haunting reminder of just how fragile human existence can be. If you ever think you're having a bad year, just remember the people of 536 AD, who lived through what many believe to be the worst year in history. Theirs was a world where darkness reigned, fear was constant, and hope was but a distant memory.